asked them where they were. So I called from the front porch. They answered the phone. He proceeded to yell at me and hang up on me. I said, okay. I got in my car frustrated. Basically he told me, leave the package in the mailbox. If we're interested, we'll call you. I didn't do that. I got in my car frustrated and said, you know what? This isn't working for me. There's got to be another way for this to work. So that's when I invented the slide dial package. So, I remember I had never used slide dial. I sat in front of this person's house, and I slide dialed the homeowner, and I left the message. And let me see if I can show you my screen. This is how I developed the script. Can you guys see the script? Hopefully you can see the script. Okay. So what happened was that I called them from the car, slide dial. I left this message here, or what I had made up the message. I later typed it out to look like this. And basically I said, hey, as part of our public outreach for homeowners facing foreclosure, we prepared a package that provides important information that can help you stay in your home, eliminate negative equity, or get cash or other assistance. Our primary objective is to help you keep your home out of foreclosure and to make sure you understand all your options and have the information needed to make the best decision for you and the family. There's no cost or obligation for the package or any of the services we provide related to helping you keep your house. If you would like to receive the information and discuss your options with a homeowner advocate, please call me. I left my personal phone number to coordinate delivery of the package. Otherwise, I wish you success and a quick and easy resolution to your situation. I left my name and number again. 3 minutes later, the guy called me. Apologized for yelling at me. Apologized for hanging up. Thought I was was with the bank and I was hassling and harassing them. Scheduled a meeting for a couple of hours later. I had my first meeting with a homeowner. I was at their kitchen table. A couple of days later, they were in my office, in my conference room. We were working on a loan mod. A week or two later, I had that house listed and we sold it. That was my first success story. And that's why I created the slide dial message for decline packages. And that's how it all started for me. But it took a couple of big failures, or what I perceived as big failures. And for a lot of people who aren't as determined and persistent as I am, who takes pride in, and doing difficult or impossible tasks, had I not stayed with it, I might have been in the category that said, hey, this monster thing might get you face to face, but people don't want to talk to you. I could have easily fallen into the categories that, they'll see you, but it's a waste of your time. Now, I happen to have a lot of experience doing monster now, and I've refined it into, advocate marketing system, which some of you, are doing, and and I've got the privilege of working with many of you, some of you which are getting, a few listings a month. I've seen streaks of you where you get 2 or 3 listings in a week, and you do that for 2 or 3 weeks as a result of using the system. I know some of you use this almost exclusively in order to get listings, and so I know through my own success, and I've got 2 people right now that are full time. It ebbs and flows that are out doing the system. I've got a third person who's getting back out to get it done. I'm covering my entire area now with monsters. We're getting all kinds of activity, and here we are getting busy again. And now I've got to start training the people who are going door to door how to do conversions, because I can't get out there and do it. I'm just too busy doing other things. But that's how our business grows. We get forced into growth, and we get forced into delegating where we don't have any choice. We've got to, at some point, we've got to build a team to help us, because this thing works too well. So this message that you see right here, we can talk more about this, is that this message is really what turned into decline packages. I use this now when I get a decline message. So when I put my label out and I get a phone call, but they say they declined the package, basically they say no thank you, well, I don't just ignore them and go on. I call them and leave this message. So this message that I had used in order to take somebody who was upset with me and convert them into a meeting is basically the same package or the same message now that I leave for somebody who declines the package. And I find that it works a percentage of the time. I don't know what percentage of the time, but we have been successful taking declined packages, leaving this message, and getting it turned around because they don't really understand exactly what they are doing. Okay, they don't know why we're coming to the door, and they think that they have a misperception. So this clears up what we're doing, gives them new information, and allows them to make a new decision. And it takes me about a second, it takes 30 seconds in order to do this. And then a certain percentage of the time, they make a new decision and actually call, and we are able to have a meeting. I want to encourage you to do that. Now, the next thing that I want to talk to you about, and we're just working with. Let me see if I can find another thing that I want to share with you. Is that I created a new call center script. Okay, can you guys see my screen there? All right, tell me if you can see my call center script. Yes, okay, good. All right, so this is the new call center script that we have used, and this says you have a delivery from a homeowner advocacy group with information about getting your loan modified and other foreclosure avoidance options. The package must be delivered directly to the homeowner and cannot be left at the door. Okay, the package can be delivered, and you set the delivery time, which date time works best for you. Thank you. The package will be delivered within 2 hours. So if they say 1 o'clock, it's between 11 and 3. Okay. Would you like to receive our alternative foreclosure flyer with your appointment confirmation? So now we're offering them something of value in exchange for the email address. So if or when they say yes, we say, great, what email should I send that to? And thank you, you'll receive the confirmation shortly. Okay? So what we amended this message because we were confusing people with the prior messages. Now listen, these other call center scripts have been working just fine for most people, but I've got to tell you, I'm in a higher demographic area than a lot of people, and we've got people from all over the country on this call here. But it's not unusual for us to be in a very white collar, professional neighborhoods. And if you ever heard me give a presentation, I will tell you that in my market, and everybody probably feels this way, that my prospects are a little more sophisticated. And I don't mean to say it's sophisticated in the sense that others aren't, but what I mean, and what a better way to say it would be, is that the more white-collar community is, the more access they have to resources to assist them. They've got friends who are attorneys and real estate professionals. They've got money in order to hire attorneys. They've just got access to people who can probably offer assistance. They have more options than typically we see in more blue-collar neighborhoods. So where I live in Westlake Village in Thousand Oaks area, where we've got a median home price of over $600,000, we find that we get much better results if we go over the hill and go into Camarillo, some of you will recognize, or we go into Simi Valley, or we go into Woodland Hills. If we get outside of this little bubble and we get more into what we call more working class or blue collar neighborhoods, where the median home price is $300,000-$400,000, we find that we get much better results. Okay, and that's just, now, does that mean we don't do Thousand Oaks and Westlake Village? No, we still do it. We just lower our expectations in those areas. We just don't expect a 20% appointment rate when we're in there. But when we get a deal there, we're making double the commission. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with with that. We just have to lower our expectations depending on where you are. So if you hear Lee or I or whomever is talking about Monster talking about 20% return rates, we're talking typical, neighborhoods, more blue collar neighborhoods, and we get much lower response rates at the other ends of the spectrum. So at the high end of the spectrum, response rates are low, and at the low end of the spectrum, response rates are low. And I've already told you, I think that the high end is because they have more access to professional services. And on the low end, I'm not sure. I mean, the only thing I can say is that maybe there's just more apathy. Maybe there's more of a fear, or maybe it's helplessness. And, maybe, I don't know what it is, but that's just my experience. And so the wheelhouse is generally, those houses that are within 20% of, I would say in my market, and it's different in your markets probably, but in my market, if we get in the $400,000 range, $300,000 to $500,000, we find that's the wheelhouse of activity where we get the best results. So you've got to experiment with your markets and figure out really what works for you. But we're not seeing so many foreclosures now like we used to, where we can be where we're discriminating. We just label everything now. I mean, everything in my area within a 10-mile radius of my office, we're just labeling everything every single week. And so I just want to help everybody. So this is the package. And what we found when we started using this is that we got fewer declines. We're getting fewer declines now. So that leads me to this. So we're offering them the alternatives to foreclosure. So I created this flyer. All right. So and this. All right. Can you guys see the alternatives to foreclosure here? And I see some of your questions coming up. I'll come back and try to clean some of the questions up in a minute. All right. So in the alternatives to foreclosure, what I did was I created this because I wanted to create a visual for the homeowner. Now, this is one of the forms that we use in our advocate marketing system, many of which, of you are already doing this and should have access to the form. If you want to be a part of advocate marketing, now we just finished our second coaching call last month. This is the 5th group that we've done. I don't have a future group plan, but you can join advocate marketing if you're a Monster client already and you're a home loan advocate client. So if you sent me a deal in the last year, or I'm working a deal actively with you, then you're in. There's no cost. There's no obligation. You just send me an email. I get you hooked up. I'll get you session 1. I'll get you session 2. I'll do that. If you haven't sent me a deal, well, you can get in one of two ways. You can send me a deal, and I'll get you hooked up. Or, and when I say send me a deal, a short sale that we can negotiate for you, and it's free 72% of the time because the bank pays it. Or you can write a check for $997. So those are the ways in. So I didn't come on here to try to convince you to do that. I'm just anticipating the questions that I get every time I show one of these forms that you're not familiar with. So we created this form for the purpose of eliminating the process of elimination. So there are 9 options of foreclosure. So I want them to start thinking about it. So even though there's 9 options, our experience is that people end up wanting to focus on loan modification. Okay? So imagine a world where you're sitting at the homeowner's kitchen table. Imagine a world where you're sitting at a homeowner's kitchen table and you say, okay, let's just, before I leave, let me just make sure that you understand what your options are. I'm not trying to talk you into doing anything. Part of my job for you is to make sure that you understand all the options and give you all the information that you need so you can make the best decision for you and your family. So you can do nothing. If you do nothing, the bank is going to foreclose on your property. You're going to have an abrupt transition out of the house. The way that works is that you go from foreclosure you go from foreclosure to eviction. All right, and that's really, most people really want to avoid